They tryna turn Trenton into Baby Flint. Been signs by depression on the billboards ever since. 100 years ago we was lynched. Now they use germ warfare to kill us. I'm convinced, got the evidence. I look around and it's evident. Then go down to City Hall and see so much negligence. Real art is intelligent. A true artist sends messages that speak to your intelligence.
They fought and died so I can do my thing. Not to get drunk and high or join no gang. I will not let none of you die in vain. For my people I bang, bang, bang. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. I rep for you in everything I do. I rep for you in every place I go. I rep for you in everything I do. In every place I go. They say post-traumatic slavery disorder's fake, but I just tell them all to wake up. Everything we went through, what a way down a rape, bruh. It's in our genetic makeup. So I am my ancestors from block to block. Let's build like it's Tetris. We must unite, link up like a necklace. They fought and died and we disrespected. So I come to correct it. The legacy they left I protected. We only think about self and neglected. You're African but yet you rejected. No. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. My ancestors been through so much pain. I don't let them die in vain. I rep for you in everything I do. I rep for you in every place I go. I rep for you in everything I do. In every place I go. I do. I go.
I was told that truth out of season might get you killed. But Malcolm died in the winter. And I don't know what's colder than taking gunfire in the center of the same heart that beat like a djembe drum for its people. My Umi says they'll always come for the people who dare have the audacity to proclaim us equal. So his sentence to sudden death is yet another sequence in the sequel. Better yet, a chapter in the saga. He lays in a chapter of other martyrs. And I wish that this was some abstraction unthought of, that the bullets that claimed him had no name. But if you know, as he knew, without a molecule of doubt, that is not the nature of this game. When his soul was placed upon this plane, he painted with his entire life as a canvas and placed it in a frame. His truth still lingers, his truth still remains. I can taste it when it rains. But for abolition, they'll engrave your alias on ammunition and then try to say the case is cold before law can raise your soul. But in these days, just know that his last breaths and his last steps never ended at the ballroom. February 21st was yet another pit stop in Harlem, as it was in Nigeria, Ghana, Egypt, Slauson. You can still feel the Malcolm in all them. We take our leave from the prince, and then we breathe for the prince. His single pursuit was Huck, and we've been breathing it since. So salutations to the man who died 3 times over, first as an outcast, second as a prisoner, third time as a soldier, who saw his people being crushed by the weight of the world, and then placed it on his shoulders. Something happened in that prison that's crafted every instance when a soul realizes the reality of living within this gap that we are given, that we've been masterfully hidden from the light of his dominion. And once that veil has been lifted, there's not a colonizer alive that can extinguish his flame. Severing 1,000 tongues won't make us relinquish his name. Don't let one ear of our children not hear about the man among men, about those towering shoulders as we stand upon them. Today, we send our forgiving prayers upon him, because he taught us to love ourselves. That every hourglass's sands have one end. Shabazz gave everything he had, his darkness, his light, his love, his life. And though our people still march through the night, though there are far more waters to wade in, we are armored for the fight. We are illuminated by his soul. We are awakened by his rage. And it was all written in with dried ink upon the page. Let the world forever know, from every sinner to every sage, that merely his body was taken on that stage. Audubon.
Give it up, give it up. That's our dear brother on the line, on the call with us on the show, New Freedom Exchange, brother Tariq Toure. Man, that was, I mean, when I heard that, when I saw that, I mean, I played that about at least like 3 or 4 times, because it's like, and then the whole connected to what you just shared with us about your personal development, and how there were people in your life that, you know, provided a way for you to get through certain things. Can we transition to how does that relate to like somebody like Malcolm or other people that might be an influence of you that elevated you to be able to speak how you speak?
Yeah, I think you know, and then in a lot of households, you know, Malcolm is he's a saint, man. You know, he's you don't speak ill of that man. You know, you hold him to a high station. And knowing that we now hold him in that regard, but also understanding where he came from and how humble he was in having to really dissolve what he knew or what he thought he knew every so often in his life at different passages and stages. So wow, that first part just informs me because I know that we were sort of this project that's constantly being worked on. You know, we like the roof of the masses all around the United States. All the masses roofs are being fixed all the time.
Wow.
We need money for the roof. It's like, and so alhamdulillah. That's one. And then just knowing that for the latter part of his life, Malcolm never raised a gun at nobody, even though he was a warrior. But most of his impact was through what Allah blessed him to be able to articulate. And that everybody doesn't have that. Clearly, everybody doesn't have that ability. So the second part was like, hey, if you can articulate well, then perhaps you can affect people. And the third part of that is that Malcolm was addicted to truth. He was addicted, he had and truth was like a narcotic for him. And so if we're able to then articulate, because people can be eloquent and just talking nonsense. But if you're able to be eloquent with truth and make that digestible and palatable for many people, then you're a serious force to reckon with. And so I've been drawn to people who've been able to do that, which is why I got into poetry and stuff like that, because I knew that poets had that arsenal of articulation and holding truth. So Malcolm is just somebody who Allah just blessed him, man, and said, hey, this particular soul, I'm gonna give him all the tools necessary to be able to make it plain. And so that was one of the qualities of Prophet Muhammad was that he was able to make very, very complex thoughts and ideas plain. And so you see a portion of that in Malcolm X, because he could talk to a hustler on the street the same way he could talk to somebody in Harvard.
Yeah, that brings to mind that saying a lot in a condensed way, having an economy of words and able to, like you said, articulate with truth, man. That's so powerful. Yes, sir. So let's transition right into, the whole thing about your new book coming out, which really, I wanted to give you, some, at least this platform to share, the success of the campaign. I know you already gave a shout out on your page.
Yeah,
and, looking forward to that coming out. Can you talk about your book, David's Dollar?
Yeah. So number one, I started a fundraiser to get the sister who has been doing such an incredible job, and just one, being patient, and then two, actually illustrating, to give her to finish the illustrations for the book, which was very critical because it was really at a standstill, man. I was sitting here with an amazing manuscript, a dynamic idea, and I didn't have the illustration taken care of, and that's just one of the last hurdles. So shout out to Anika Sabri. If you need design work, holler at her. Her IG is New Africa Designs, NUAFRI. CA Designs. Anyway, I think you can find. Just look up Anika Sabri. So David's Dollar is a book that I just was walking around in the world with in the back of my head. One day I said to myself, it would be really dope if we could articulate the concept of group economics to our young kids. And it started with that. And I said, well, I'm gonna write a poem and see if I can do that. Because if you can write a poem about it, then more than likely it's something that can be expanded. Because again, it's about bringing complex things down. And so I wrote a poem about a young kid named David Kareem who earns $1 from his father doing like housework. And then his father basically was like, all right, you can spend your dollar anywhere now. And he said, well, I want some candy like any other kid. And so he goes to the candy store and he pays for his candy. And so he's happy to have his candy, but he's also sad to see his dollar go. And so he asks this question throughout the book. Daddy, where's my dollar go? So like, where did my dollar go? I just gave it to, I think the first business he goes in is Sammy Sweets. He runs his black brother runs a candy store. And so gives $1 to Sammy. And so his father says, well, you know what? Let's see where it goes. And so they begin to follow this dollar from place to place. And they end up looking and seeing exactly where it goes from business to business. And it focuses on basically business people spending money with other business people. I was very intentional about that because I thought that would be another important concept to have within it, that like we got to support each other businesses.
Okay.
So, and so, yeah, he goes through the book and he watches the dollar move throughout his community. And yeah, I think, I think in the spectrum of kids' books, especially Muslim kids' books and stuff, it is something that's very. Hold on one second.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, we're here live with brother Tariq Toure on New Freedom Exchange, station IWDM. You guys can tune in now live. If you have any questions, you can leave on the chat box.
Live.
You know what I mean? All the way live. Early morning. You know what I mean? We're not gonna hold our brother too much longer, but we did want to, introduce you all on our platform at least. And share his message, man, because we're all about social dignity and community empowerment. And when I saw what you're saying, it just tagged right in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was really, it was really important that everything had to. I try to make my work very intentional, and I wanted to display Black Muslims as just the effortless things that we already do. You get what I'm saying? Like the principles and the aesthetic and sort of the grace that we already move about our day with, which is, I guess to describe it is like, like dabbing, right? So, some kids at some random high school was probably chilling. They were like, oh, dab, but like the mainstream America turned it into like dab, whatever. So I think a lot of times we have to be able to portray stories that are just us being us without having to say, hey, this is the identity statement that we're making for the world. And just let people know, like, yo, these are normal occurrences. Black people have been supporting other Black people for a long time. Y'all just ain't been tapped in.
Yep.
And that's do for self is a concept born out of the history of African American Muslims here in this country as a response to just really being subjugating and having to do for self. And I didn't want to write all across the book, this is David do it for self as a Black Muslim.
Right.
No, let me just talk about this dollar. And we really have to try our best to create narratives like that, because we don't want to get pegged into checking boxes.
Right.
And I think that's one of the big points. Like, yo, this ain't about checking boxes. It's basically, let me just show you this Black Muslim kid who just going about his day with his father, teaching him. You as a father, you teach 38 lessons every 2 hours to your kids, and you're not stopping at each lesson being like, okay, all right, so today we're gonna cross off this. No, it's regular, man. I'm just giving you a peek into like how we live our life. And so yeah.
No, that's fine, man. I don't. Let me get a few more questions in before I let you go. in reference to from your beginning, talking about the richness of your father's connection of being a teacher and preserving culture and all the dynamics in your family, the different elements in your family, and then connecting it to the do for self and Brother Malcolm as a symbol of our manhood and doing for self and articulation of and sticking to the truth. Going forward, like this generation, next generation, what other strategies do you think we need to really tackle to really get our share, right? Because it's like you said, I mean, if we've been tapping in, if we've been dealing with each other and now more people are starting to tap into that, we're going to have to expand our systems of influence and system. Well, you already doing it with your culture, and that in turn is economic as well. So, like, what are some strategies you can share with us that we could try to assist you or try to create to make that better, to make it better achievable?
Woo!
You
That's
know,
like a Claude Anderson question.
I know, right?
I'm like,
Powernomic joints.
right. That's a tough apple to bite.
Just a tidbit. We got room. You definitely welcome. Open
issue.
to come back on the show
Yeah,
anytime.
no issue. I would say it's making personal commitments to be conscious about how you spend your money. That's just number one. There's more than and I'm not absolutist. I understand things get tough and you can't always have your brain doing the machinery to like, I got about toilet paper. So let me holler at the brother who got the toilet paper. Sometimes you like, man, I need toilet paper right now. Let me run out to whatever store and get it.
Right.
But when you have time, think about who produces something that you can buy. One answer to that is a good brother, Sharif Abdul Malik, who runs WeBuyBlack.com. And he's really created a adjacent Amazon really for Black folk. And so I'm not saying that you have to buy all of your products there, but every little bit counts. So if you can buy something from there, if you can support that sort of work, which is critical because he's working in the cyberspace, which where kind of the world is going. That's very critical. I would say that for me, food is really a frontier that I see us still being able to develop value in, because a few people who cook like we can cook,
right.
And we've found ways to now make the food healthier and not so harmful. So be conscious of like where you're eating from, because you eat every day. you eat every day. Something I can definitely say is that you won't eat unless you're in a impoverished or a difficult situation. You eating every day. So where are you getting the things that you are eating, and are you spending that money with so one of the things that I've done over Ramadan is try my best to, like, if I'm not eating at a certain Black business or something like that, Black Muslim business, then I might and I'm only saying this so that people can put a concept in their head, because I'm of the idea that we should keep our charity to ourselves. But let's say a brother is selling $15 lamb chop plates, right? It's nothing for you to say, if you could call up and say, hey, your next customer that walk in, take $4 off their meal. I'm gonna just go ahead and cash up you $4. We don't understand how long that go away.
Yeah.
One, you supporting them. Two, when that customer walks in and the guy behind the counter says, hey, a random anonymous person just wanted to show some love, your meal is $11 today. Your meal is $8 today. Those are very simple ways that we can get around this is maybe too expensive, or I'm not there to support, but we have to find different ways to support each other. And I think the outcome of that is, one, just circulation of dollars, because our dollars just be leaving our community. And also we'll be able to continue to have healthy businesses And I think I just read that Magic Johnson had to go in his own pocket to support small black
Yeah,
businesses.
100
That
million.
ain't, in a normal world, that ain't his job. That's the government job to subsidize businesses. But that, I don't know what's more do for self than that. He should get a medal of honor. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you get $100 million for black businesses when 90% of the people who applied for loans that was minority businesses didn't get them over this time. So, yeah, if Magic can do that, rightfully so, then it should be nothing for us to say, oh, my brother, he sell cold pressed juices. Let me get one or two of them, man. Or you sell them all the way in Arizona, or you sell them all the way in Atlanta. I can't get down there. But you know what? When somebody come in there and buy a pack of 4, let me take care of the third one for them, or the first 2. Very, very simple stuff. I don't really think on a large scale because I know our people, and I'm rambling now.
No, we need that. We need that. The thinking that you're. I mean, the simplicity of your expression about an example. That logic is what is needed on the higher level, right? Because you have people like that's around Magic that might think like you, but that's why he was able to do something like that. You know what I mean? Because it's like people on that level, they're not even thinking,
right,
beyond where they at. So now you're right
right,
on.
exactly. So Magic Play's like, man, dang, I can only imagine. I mean, I'm not sure how much he's worth, but I mean, to be 100 million liquid is like,
right.
Sheesh. I mean, I know he's had to sit on it for a little bit and be like, man, that 100 million, I'm gonna do this. All right, cool, that's fine. He had to check with his wife, make sure she gave him okay.
Yeah,
but yeah, very large scale things are very tough to do because our people are like Bani Israel, man. We got a million questions. We want to know what's the what. Well, is this supporting this movement? Is it that movement? Is this leader supposed to, is that person handling the money? Is this that way? Do they wear blue shoes? Like, we got, so I'm with very, very small incremental things that we can do that are person to person and then work within family to family and, build very small relationships rather than the very glorious things.
Excellent. Speaking of Magic, did a little research. He's in the billionaire club. Let's give him that,
so
right?
Yeah. Okay, so 100 million liquid ain't too crazy.
Yeah. But we wish that upon. Right, exactly. We wish that upon you and your success and everything.
No, I don't want $1 billion. Don't say.
All right, listen. This is what I'm saying, right? So there's a I can't think of his name right now, but he has this TED talk, right? And he talks about like the super wealthy, right? $1 billion is nothing to these guys, right? These guys are almost like near a trillion. They call themselves the plutocrats. Yeah, they're like the plutocrats, right? But even in their consciousness, like they're coming to the reality, like that's not going to last, right? Because Allah says in the Quran, everything He rotates the kingdom, right? So everybody's going to have their chance. So if we're people of faith and service of Allah, it's only a matter of time before we become our chance. Not in the way that, like, I know what you're saying, the way that it's presented, like the super wealthy or the rich, but I mean, just our words themselves, what we're saying, you really can't put value on it in itself.
I will hope that if that would have happened in some way, shape, or form, that whatever amount of money it is something that is coming in and out of my hands so fast that I really can't, that I'm giving at a level that they say, hey man, you just made $1 billion. I was like, that I was too busy giving it. I didn't even notice.
Exactly.
So hopefully it works that way. And I'm thinking about the daggone. Man, I'm trying to think about the Aisha radiallahu anha who had given somebody a whole truckload of money, and as a test, she wanted to see how long it would take them to like give it away. And so she had given it to a Sahaba, and by the time he reached her doorstep, he had already distributed it in Medina. Right. And so, yeah. But people, Uthman radiallahu anhu, wealth would chase him.
Yeah.
He would give it away. And the next morning, camels loaded with gold would be outside his door. And he's like, what in the world? Like, what's going on? So hopefully we'll see, man. We'll see.
No, alhamdulillah. We're listening and talking with, having a beautiful conversation that we unfortunately has to come to an end. We didn't want to hold the brother too long. Tariq Toure, not Tariq ibn Zayed, who was the one who went into Spain and expanded the Muslims into a period of over 700 years of Muslim influence. So that's what we're saying. Like what you're addressing and being very intentional, you know, Allah brings it a long way, right? And I want to give you one of your quotes on your page that you said, "We suffer because we can't accept that the person we need to become will cost us who we are now." So in light of what we're saying, all right, get ready. it's coming. It's definitely coming. Any last marks? How can people get in contact with you?
Yeah,
get
people,
notification. About your new book coming out.
People can reach out to me. You can follow me at Tariq Toure, TARIQ TOURE. If you have any inquiries or anything like that, you can contact my bookings folks at Toure Management, TOURE Management @gmail.com. And you know, not too much to say, but I pray everybody's having a safe and sound Ramadan. I pray that you can keep your family and your loved ones in prayer who may have lost their life during this time, and that inshallah, when we come out on the other side of this thing, that we're more rooted, and we're more desiring of a community connection.
I mean, we thank you again for tuning in to New Freedom Exchange on station IWDM with our special beloved brother Tariq Toure. Check him out, no doubt. Anytime we like to bring you back, even when everything launches and you start doing your campaigns and tours. Yeah, I mean, we'll be ready for you again. I have my co-hosts with me next time, inshallah.
All right,
God willing.
Inshallah.
So appreciate you. Until next time, you all are listening to station IWDM, New Freedom Exchange. We're going to leave y'all with this selection in reference to our focus for community development, social dignity, and community empowerment. Until next time, peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Now, in concluding this, when the slave traders and the black traders of Africa, different. Traitors. When the slave traders and the traitors of Africa called themselves Muslims, for fighting each other and carrying on and weakening their people over there so that the white traders come in there and get us, take us on slave ships and bring us here. Now, all right? Yeah. So now, when all that happened, what you think was happening to our human soul? Let me tell you, God has given me an eye to see into the very abstract form of the human being by my study of the Quran. Yes. Now, I'm going to tell you what was happening. I know, as if I was there. The soul of those victims had given up on this world. They knew they were going to their death. They knew they were going to circumstances that were going to finish them off. They would never have their lives again. They knew that. But in their soul, they were saying, our children will one day be free again, and they will serve God. We have failed, but our children will one day serve God. And now their prayer that they prayed in the deep recesses of their soul has come true. And not only of the descendants of the black people of Africa, from Islam, coming to Islam, taking up the divine cause, but those who never were Muslims, their children from Christianity, their children from Judaism, their children from paganism, are embracing Islam in America. And we are going to build New Africa. New Africa, right here in the United States. Allahu Akbar. And the soul of those suffering victims, they're rejoicing because of us here today.